Want to turn back time without going under the knife? Today, we're diving deep into the science of aging, how collagen, hormones, even your diet impact your skin. Plus, natural, game-changing skincare tips and the latest technologies that actually work. You don't want to miss this one. Hi, friends. It's Natalie. I'm so thrilled that you are with me today on the podcast. In this episode, I'm joined by two experts on skin and aging, Katie McCabe and Leslie Keltier with Big Life Integrative Health. Leslie is a board-certified family nurse practitioner with over 13 years of experience in primary care and medical aesthetics, specializing in proactive wellness and personalized patient care. Katie is a board-certified acute care nurse practitioner with a background in surgical ICU and advanced medical aesthetics. She brings a whole-person approach to skin health, and I love that. Together, they're going to help break down the science of aging. They're going to share natural skincare strategies and reveal the latest technologies to keep your skin looking its best. We're going to chat about everything from layers of the skin to how collagen and hormones impact our looks as we get older. This episode is for anyone wanting to look young, feel good, and take action on their skin and the aging process. Many of the things that we talk about, you can implement right now. And we're also going to go into some of the new technology just within the last few years and some more natural ways to get results and look younger without surgery. It's all about supporting your skin's ability to regenerate itself. And you know me, I'm all about knowledge as power. So today, we're going to learn together. As always, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast for more insightful conversations. And don't forget to sign up for my weekly newsletter by visiting natalietysdal.com. It's packed with all kinds of goodness to help you live your best, most vibrant life. Let's dive in today to looking young and skin. Katie and Leslie, thank you so much. I get both of you today. What a pleasure.
Me too. Yes. Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, let's start with explaining what happens to our skin as we age, because I really want to talk about how we can improve our skin without feeling guilty like we're doing all the extra things that are really expensive and all of that. But what happens?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to understand the layers and the anatomy of the skin before we can really understand what happens as we age. Your skin is made up of three layers. You have the epidermal layer, which is your top layer, kind of the outside, what is presented to the world. And then underneath, you have your dermal layer. That's really where the magic happens and where most of our health for our skin is. And the reason for that, that's where fibroblasts are produced. When we're really little, when we're babies, we have a ton of fibroblasts. Those fibroblasts create collagen and they create elastin. The collagen is what increases your skin thickness. And if you kind of think of kind of the scaffolding for our skin. And then the fibrin is what gives the skin its elasticity. So again, that's where the goodness is. It's the structural layer. It provides, as I said, the elasticity, the hydration, and kind of the tone of your skin. And then the bottom layer is the fatty layer. So it's the subcutaneous tissue. Obviously, some people have more fat layers than other people, but that kind of creates the structure to our skin. When you think of a baby, their skin is really soft and smooth and resilient. You know, you have your little kids who scratch themselves and then they wake up the next day and scratch is gone. I know. It's because they have tons and tons of collagen, tons and tons of elastin. Their cells are reproducing at a really high rate. Then you think of your grandma who cut herself 2 weeks ago, ran up against something that seemed pretty benign and it still isn't healing. That's because as we age, that collagen and elastin decreases, okay? So we actually stop producing the collagen in our 20s, which seems really, really young because you still think of women in their 20s, even their 30s, they still do have really good collagen, elastin, skin tone, and texture. We stop the production at age 20, and then we kind of lose that collagen and that structure by about 1% every year in our 20s and 30s. And then once we hit 40s, 50s, it's about 2% per year. Then once we get into kind of the perimenopause and menopause, we have a significant decrease in our estrogen, and that actually exponentiates the loss of our tone and our structure. And then we also have bone demineralization that occurs. So when your bones also provide the structure, you think of women who have really prominent cheekbones, your bones demineralize, they get smaller. It causes everything to kind of sag. Your fat pads that we want begin to go lower and lower. So those nice cheeks that you once had now become your jowls. That happens as we age because of the bone structure. And then also, as we said, the loss of the collagen and the structure, kind of the scaffolding of your skin.
When we talk about collagen, let me interject here for just a second, because there's so many people that talk about getting more collagen and collagen supplements and collagen proteins. And I put collagen in my coffee every morning. Is that helping? How much is it helping? Are you ready to launch a side gig, maybe a small project or business? Need a professional logo that won't break the bank? Looka is the AI-powered logo maker that's perfect for entrepreneurs and freelancers. With Looka, you can create a stunning, unique logo in minutes without breaking the bank. Just answer a few simple questions about your brand and watch as Looka generates hundreds of custom logo options. It's like having a team of professional designers at your fingertips. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? Visit natalietisdale.com/favorites and start creating the logo your side gig or your small project deserves.
Right. There's mixed data on this, actually. So there's a whole bunch of different types of collagen, 1, 2, 3, 5. The two that are most found in skin is collagen 1 and collagen 3. When we ingest collagen, they're really big molecules, and your body can't really take those in and break them down adequately enough to really go directly replace at the same rate that you're losing. That being said, you might get some benefit from it. You might have a little bit of ingestion, but again, it's not at the same rate as you're losing. So it doesn't hurt. It's definitely helpful to try to take in collagen. And obviously, not all collagen is created equal too. There are some companies and some brands that are better than others. So I tell my patients, if you like taking it, if it's in your routine, keep doing it, because you're not hurting anything. But it's kind of mixed data as to whether or not you're actually replacing at the same rate.
Are we getting the protein benefit from us from a diet perspective if we're putting that?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, at least we're getting something for the money, right?
Yes.
That we're investing in that.
You may get some benefits too in your joints, so you have a lot of collagen in between your joints, and so it can help with some of that as well. So, it depends on kind of what the purpose you're taking it for is.
Okay, you talk about the things that we've lost that we want more of. How about the hormones? Obviously, for so many of us, midlife, our skin is one thing. You feel better with hormones, but are those hormones actually helping us look better? Are they helping our skin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so estrogen is, the primary hormone that as women we lose, and actually menopause is just a period of time, can be up to 10 years. All it really means is that you go 1 year without having your normal period. And so that's when we consider somebody, quote unquote, postmenopausal. And really, it's just that process of your hormones basically depleting, and then eventually, your body completely stops producing them. Estrogen is the primary one that is super beneficial for skin health. So actually that elasticity, tone, and the structure of your skin, estrogen plays a huge part in that. So when you do lose your hormones, you certainly lose, those benefits of having those hormones. But in addition, there's other hormones too. There's testosterone, there's progesterone. There's a lot of other hormones too that as they drop, they can affect our health and well-being in other ways. And that can affect the aging process as well. So for instance, like testosterone oftentimes can interfere with energy and muscle mass, ability to build muscle as you get older. And so what we find is that women that are in perimenopause or postmenopausal, they actually lose the kind of that drive to the energy that it takes to and do the things that we once were able to do, but then also build that muscle mass. And we know that muscle is the organ of longevity. And so you think of, when I think of testosterone, I'm thinking of like 3 kind of major parts of the body, and that's cardiovascular, metabolic health, and then neurocognitive health. So can really, really kind of change, the way somebody feels internally and then what they're able to do compared to what they were, when they were younger.
Okay, so we have to do a whole episode on this because obviously that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was young thinking, oh, that's so old people, and now I'm like midlife and I'm not old, but those things really matter. So we can go deeper on that another time. Does it really affect your skin? Do your hormone levels make you look older when you lose them? Can you replace those and then your skin looks better?
Yes. Yep. So as I said, as your estrogen goes down, your collagen goes down too. You kind of like hit it, you're slowly going down, and then all of a sudden it's like a steep drop once you are perimenopausal. And the reason for that is estrogen helps to keep that collagen producing just a little bit, your skin a little bit thicker. There's actually been some data that's been released in the past few years showing that direct application of estriol or estradiol cream can actually thicken and replace the collagen in your skin. So, we like to do things a little bit more natural here, and we'll talk a little bit more too about what we can do for this. But one of the things that we are exploring is actually using estrogen cream on the face in some of our procedures.
I've seen this. I've seen a lot of talk about this, and I've never thought about that on your face. So what were you going to say about that, Leslie?
No, I was just going to say the other thing too with the hormonal health is, you think of people as they get to perimenopause and they start to lose that muscle mass, and they, even with a lot of the weight loss medications that are out now, people are losing large amounts of weight. That 100% affects your skin tone. And so you find that a lot of women come in, or even men for that matter, and they've lost a lot of muscle, they've lost some fat, their skin is flabby. That muscle loss can make a big difference in terms of the laxity of your skin and what's kind of holding it up underneath.
Yeah. Okay. So with the hormone issue, what can we do for our skin to get those hormones? You mentioned putting possibly estrogen, other things on your skin, but does hormone replacement, and again, that's a whole nother topic. Are there other things in terms of the hormones that we should be doing to help us look better?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do bioidentical hormone replacement therapy here. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. We use a combination of looking at labs and then also looking at symptoms and trying to pair the two together to find kind of, that perfect synthesized combination of hormones that can help to kind of rebuild. Everyone is a little bit different in terms of what they need and how much they've lost and what their levels are and also how it's affecting them, what their symptoms are. We would treat just a lab value, but absolutely we find that we can make a big impact on, midlife and with hormone replacement therapy and just restoring, what has been lost really. We're not trying to put anybody into super therapeutic levels or anything like that. I don't think that's good for people either, but we're just really trying to restore what can be lost in terms of, just slowing the aging process, making people actually feel better as they age, which then in turn allows them to do the things that make them happy, live a big life, as we like to say, and just really feel good about where they are in their health journey as we get older. So,
and we're restoring feminine beauty from the inside and out, right? So if you feel good and the things that made you who you are as a woman when you were in your 20s and your 30s and really kind of helped you gain your confidence as you came into mature adulthood, a lot of times hormones had a place in. And then if you're feeling good from the inside, you feel and look better on the outside. And so when we pull aesthetics into it, we again want to do it more naturally, and we want to return you to where you felt your best in your 20s, your 30s, 40s, wherever it might be.
Yeah. It's interesting to watch the pendulum swing a little bit, because for so long, the trend in the looking better and aesthetics, maybe your plastic surgery, all these things got really extreme, and we see that, and it can be very unappealing. So I want to hear your take on, and I'm really big on this in my natural world and in what I talk about here on the podcast, and that is a natural way of doing this and being proud of it. So I'm seeing this trend, and I think this is where you all are, of natural aesthetics that's regenerative, natural. Tell me more about that and your theory in that and how you approach that.
Yeah, so I think traditionally in the past in the aesthetics industry, we didn't have a whole lot of options, right, in terms of what we could do to fix the problems of aging. And so, if you only have a hammer, then everything looks like a nail, right? So you can go through and you can assess somebody and you can say, you just need, 10 syringes of filler and, we can get this nice plump, like lifted look, which I think was traditionally kind of what happened. And then I think it kind of went a little over the edge. I think now what is happening is that we have amazing technology that has come out. I mean, the last 5 to 10 years and going forward, the amount of technology that we have to naturally actually restore and regenerate the skin, tone, texture, tightening, really repairing the health of the skin has been a game changer for the aesthetics industry. And what we're seeing is that a lot of people are kind of changing their approach. So they're not necessarily just going to, those synthetic fillers and whatnot as their first line. They're saying let's repair the dermis. Let's, do some of these technologies that can actually naturally stimulate our body's healing process. And in that, we can get really great results. And is there a place for Botox and fillers and, some of those things? There might be for some people. I think, but we look at that in terms of how we practice and as kind of the icing on the cake, right? There's a lot we can do to actually restore our own body processes, skin. And then at that point, you kind of do the icing on the cake or this or that, depending on each patient's personal preference. So the technology is really, I think, what has changed, has changed the landscape. And that's really what we have invested and focused on here at Big Life is that regenerative technology.
And it seems like pretty much everything in medicine, we're starting to see this slow transition into regenerative medicine. And I think regenerative aesthetics is just another branch of this. You have those biohackers out there who are looking for anything they can to help with anti-aging, whether that be physically, mentally, aesthetically. And so that's why there's been such a leap in the aesthetics industry to keep up. We're looking at kind of the convergence of whole body health in this. Use a lot of the same things that functional medicine uses and that these biohackers are seeking, such as peptides, exosomes, other things that can kind of help, again, stimulate your body to regenerate on its own and do similar things that the fillers and the neuromodulators have done in the past.
Yeah. And that's not to shame people, by the way. I want to point that out, myself included. We've tried these things, Botox and things. I mean, I was on television, you guys, for 28 years. Everybody noticed every wrinkle.
Yeah.
And I've got strong forehead lines. There is nothing about that it's shameful, but how can we do it that is more natural and feels better long term? Which leads me to other things. Now, I want to talk about some of the cool things that you're using, that we're seeing, that have come out that you mentioned in the last 5 years. But what are the other things that we can be doing internally? So we know water is huge. Does food really make that big of a difference? And then can you talk about, does exercise make a difference? Does weightlifting, is that going to make our skin look better?
Yes, absolutely. To all of the above. So hydration is definitely key. We live in Colorado that's super, super dry. So we tell our patients, you have to be drinking at least 100 ounces or more of water per day. And it's not just the water for hydration, it's the electrolytes also. Sodium, salt, gotten a bad rap in the past because it definitely can increase blood pressure, increase heart disease. But if it's not, and that's if it's done in the wrong way, if it's done through processed foods and such. We really love electrolyte replacement drinks that are sodium based, because they help drive that water into the muscle, into the cell. You have cells everywhere in your body, obviously. And so if that cell is hydrated, you're going to have a better glow and a better complexion, okay? With what you eat, you are what you eat, right? And obviously we live by the 80-20 rule. You don't have to be completely strict 100% of the time in what you eat, but high protein diet, because that's going to, again, help build that muscle. And we talked about the importance of muscle, not just for structural aesthetic look, but also for your metabolic, your mental your physical health, really. And then the number one thing that we love to tell our patients is you have to wear sunscreen every day. We didn't touch on this previously when we were talking about what happens to our skin, but sunlight is the number one cause of aging skin behind genetics. We can't change our genetics, so let's change what we can control. And using a mineral-based sunscreen every day, even if you feel like you're not going outside because you've got sunlight that comes through the windows when you're driving in the car, look at your face, your own face, look at your friends' faces. You'll notice that the left side of their face is usually a little bit more wrinkled or a little.
Yeah, I started getting little sunspots on my left temple, only to realize that's my drive side.
It's when you're
right?
driving. And even your hands. Look at your left hand compared to your right hand. It's yeah. So you're not outside, but the sun will find you. And the mineral-based sunscreen protects against blue light. It protects against other radiation that we don't realize we're getting every day.
And I would just add to that exercise. I mean, I think the data there's nothing more clear in the data than the fact that exercise really is the key to longevity. So, both with decreasing inflammation, increasing that muscle mass, cardiovascular health, neurodegenerative health, people that exercise have, less risk of dementia, Alzheimer's, all those things. And so you think of, what's happening. Our body it's not just our skin and then our internal body. It's all working together. We're, whole systems. And so what's happening on the inside of our body is going to be reflected in our skin and in our appearance. And so, you typically, you can kind of see that, like the smoker skin, right? People who have been long time smokers, like they tend to have a certain laxity in their skin, and it affects their outward appearance because on the inside, there's a lot of inflammation going on. And so, what you eat, how you exercise, all of these things in terms of our lifestyle, what happens inside of our body affects our outside body because of that inflammatory response.
Yeah. Think about when you have an allergic reaction, what's usually the first thing that happens? You get a rash, right? So something that you might ingest comes out in your skin in the form of a rash. So really everything is interconnected.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I see skin things and my kids, when they have skin things, I'm like, what are you eating? And they're like, what are you talking about? Like it all works together. It all works together.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Well, let's get to some of the other stuff then. Outside of all of those things, which are so primary, got to do them. What are some of the newer technologies and things that we can be doing to help ourselves look younger without going to an extreme?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The technologies that we utilize here are, there's kind of a few different ones. The number one that we use is the radio frequency machines that we have a Scarlett radio frequency microneedling machine that helps with dermal health. And then again, we have another radio frequency machine that actually is a little more fine-tuned. It will help with lifting and tightening the skin. And then we also use a machine that utilizes plasma energy actually to tighten and induce that collagen stimulation in the epidermis. So we have different technologies kind of for each layer of the skin, as Katie talked about at the beginning. And really our approach is to come at it like with a little of this and a little of that, right? Very few people need the same treatments. Everyone is different. And so with kind of our large array of technology, we can actually customize the treatments to what your needs are. So we can go into a little more depth on each of those individual things, but generally speaking, we have a lot of tools in our toolbox to address each individual concern based on each individual person.
Yeah. And what's more, all of these technologies utilize some sort of plant-based exosome, either pre-treatment, intra-treatment, or post-treatment to really get the best bang for your buck. The exosomes, I feel like, is a super buzzword in regenerative.
I don't even know. Tell us what exosome.
Yes. So basically, it's a cell-to-cell messenger. So I like to think of them as little envelopes that have a secret message, and we start them kind of in an area where this is what we want. This is where we want to be. We want the body to be able to do what we want it to do. And we wrap that in a little envelope, and then that gets delivered to another mailbox. Then it gets delivered to another mailbox. And so really, it's stimulating those cells to do what we want it to do and regenerate itself. Increase that collagen build, increase that elastin build, really help to, as Leslie said, help with the texture, the tone, the tightness of the skin, depending on which machine or which product we're using. But I think that's what kind of sets the use of our machines and what we do apart is that every single one has exosomes treatment in it to help prepare, help during, and then help recover the skin afterwards.
Yeah, sort of telling the body what to do, if you will. I mean, it's I think a lot of times our skin cells kind of fall asleep, as we get older, and they don't turn over as quickly as they once did. We don't have those same repair mechanisms. And so the exosomes can just potentiate that process a little bit and make it, make your cells kind of be like, oh, okay, this is what you want me to do. I'm going to go do it, So they're plant-derived stem cells, basically, that we put on topically that are really beneficial.
And these types of things, like a lot of people listening, they might not be here and be able to come and do all the treatments that you have, but they're hearing the words, they're hearing the treatments, and they're going to look for them. So yeah. I heard you mention a few of them. Scarlet is one. So if someone is somewhere else and they're looking for an office that does that you said is microneedling. Now, microneedling isn't a new concept, right? Is the Scarlet a different form of that? And tell us what that is.
Yeah. So our Scarlet microneedling is there. You're correct. There's different types of microneedling. The Scarlet is a radio frequency microneedling. So it actually uses radio frequency energy. It's 25 microneedles that actually penetrate into the dermis. So that's that lower layer of the skin and deliver this thermal energy. So you're going to be creating a controlled injury to the dermis, which is then going to tell your body to start the repair process. That's natural repair process. And in that, you're going to start building that collagen elastin production. So with this technology, you're getting tone improvements, you're getting texture improvements in the skin, and then you're also getting tightening. So, you think of one collagen bundle as like a wrap of yarn, as time goes on, it kind of slowly unravels. What the Scarlet is going to do is it's going to go back in there, it's going to tighten it right back up. That one bundle of collagen can lift 20 to 60 pounds of weight. So your collagen is very strong. But you can see as time goes on and it starts to unravel, that's when you get that skin laxity. So we can actually, regenerate and rebuild that dermal layer, if you will. And that's really kind of the groundwork of all that we do. Your dermal layer is kind of, if you think of it, the foundation of your skin. And so having good dermal health is going to give you a lot of benefits and is going to kind of be that base layer. So, there's Scarlet microneedling. There are other microneedling devices, typically just a regular microneedling that does not use radio frequency energy is a topical procedure. So you're going to kind of get the pinprick stimulation more in that epidermal layer. It's not going to penetrate as deep into the dermal layer. So you will get some of that tone and texture improvement, but you won't get that tightening, right? Because you're not getting as deep.
And that's a really great treatment for younger patients, those in their 20s and their 30s who still have a decent amount of collagen, and we're not necessarily trying to stimulate a ton more, but they might have acne scars that we need to help improve. They might have active acne. There's actually, this is a somewhat controversial topic in regards to, do we treat overactive acne? Because the thought is, if we have a bacteria pocket and we penetrate that, will we be dragging bacteria over the skin? But there's been a lot of data recently that's come out, before and after photos of actually treating active acne, and that by getting in there and really affecting those sebaceous glands, we can improve the appearance and the growth of active acne. So again, usually the microneedling without the radio frequency uses those exosomes. We actually put the exosomes in. The PRP, or platelet-rich plasma, which we'll chat about too, that can be used with the regular microneedling. But the radio frequency is a little bit deeper, a little bit stronger. What sets kind of the Scarlet apart from some of the other radio frequency microneedling devices out there is it uses a robotic arm instead of a mechanical arm to deploy its needles, which is a lot more gentle. Morpheus is one of those other ones. So if patients who have kind of heard or had treatments with Morpheus, that's another radiofrequency microneedling device on the market. That one uses a mechanical arm. And so there's a little bit more damage to the stratus corneum, which is the very, very superficial layer. And you can get some more bleeding, some longer recovery time. So the Scarlet is a little bit more gentle on the outer layer, does exactly the same thing underneath. And the way that the energy comes from the needles is more of a teardrop shape, so it's a lot more precise. Other radiofrequency devices out there, the energy goes between the needles. And so it's not quite as precise of an area that they target. The downtime for one of these radiofrequency scarletting, or the radiofrequency microneedling with the scarlet, is anywhere from, we say, 2 to 48 hours. We've had patients who will get their treatment, we put sunscreen on them, they go out to dinner with their friends, and nobody knows the difference after.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you with all of these is cost. I think everybody wants to know, am I going to be, am I taking out another mortgage on my home? Cost, downtime, and pain level. Like, is this a big deal with each of the things that you're talking about?
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, all of those things are kind of the number one things that, you want to try to deliver on, right? Because that's going to make people happy. The zero downtime is a huge thing, and part of that is the technology of the machine, but a lot of it also is just the exosome therapy. We can actually decrease recovery times up to 50% with the use of those exosomes. And so the combination of the two makes it, it's a newer technology, but it makes it, superior to a lot of other microneedling devices out there because of that. All of these technologies are expensive. I mean, aesthetics is, that is what it is, but you will get results. And that is one thing that, we like to tell our patients is that if we do this, you do this well, you do this with the right technology, you will get great results. And, we can guarantee that if you follow the protocol.
Generally across the board, though, and I'm sure everybody's competitive. Are we talking like $500, $5,000? Like, what's a ballpark range for all of these that someone can say, okay, I can start saving up for this any type of these?
Yeah, so it depends on which devices we're utilizing at the time. So for the scarlet microneedling, we usually recommend a series of treatments, usually at least 3 to 6 treatments, spread out about 4 to 6 weeks from each other. We typically, and it'll range anywhere from like $1,000 to $1,500 per treatment. Now, if you buy them in bulks of packages and whatnot, like that obviously comes with discounts as well. And then, depending on kind of what individual needs are, we can stack treatments together. And that's really where you get the most benefit, is in stacking the technology, kind of doing, they adjunct each other in a lot of ways. And so you kind of get the effect of like 1 + 1 = 3 with that, right? Like you do those treatments. But I will say, in the long term too, it's like anything we do with exercise or eating healthy. If you do the treatment and you do it really hard for a month and then you never do anything again, the aging process does continue. And so there is a point where you will continue to age and you could lose those effects if you don't continue to do enhancement stuff, which, over the long term. So in terms of pain, we try to keep patients comfortable with both topical numbing and then some of the other devices we use. We use lidocaine injections as well, but the goal is to have as little downtime and as little recovery time as possible, so nobody has time to be out for long in this world.
Times take off of work and life.
No. Yeah. And the alternative, you think, is just as you said, the plastic surgery, the facelift. And the downtime in that is significant. The cost to that is thousands of dollars, depending on where you live. And as Leslie said, you're still aging. People want to know, is it a permanent fix? And it's as permanent as we can make it while your skin is still aging. So that's when those kind of continued enhancement procedures come in and really help get you the best benefit.
Yeah. Okay. So other things, other technologies that you're using. Give me just a couple more before we wrap up.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So we have, kind of starting with your most basic, we have what we call the Aquaform XS. That's your medical grade facial. It has components where we use the exosomes in every step of the procedure. It utilizes ultrasound. It utilizes microdermabrasion, kind of cupping for extractions, really, really good, healthy, clean, and then restoring hydration to the skin. That's a fantastic place to start for either younger patients or if you're planning on getting, we like to call it our non-surgical facelift, kind of preparing your skin to really get the best benefits. We talked a lot about the Scarlett. I think you can probably tell that's one of our favorite machines because it's so versatile. But we do utilize that for patients who have that poor skin texture, turgor, to really help repair that dermal health before we do these bigger procedures. I like to think of it as the scaffolding. If your scaffolding, with your collagen and your dermis is super old and loose, it's not going to hold a lot. And so when we go to do our tightening and our structural changes procedures, you're not going to get as much benefit if your scaffolding is really old. The next kind of favorite tool I'd say that I have personally is our Agnes machine. The Agnes machine is really utilized for sculpting and tightening. It actually can zap fat. So, we talked about your cheeks go down to your jowls as you age. And when we like to think of the triangle of youth is you're wide on top and then you kind of have a little triangle that goes down to your chin. As we age, that triangle reverses and it becomes a right side up triangle. And we want to reverse that. So we can zap the little jowls here at either side of your mouth. We can help if you kind of get excess fat underneath your chin. We can even utilize it on the body. Bra fat, knee fat, really just zapping and having noticeable removing. Exactly. Doesn't just change it. It actually gets rid of it. So we like to get rid of the fat to really get your structure back to where we want it to be. And then we can tighten the skin around it, because if we remove fat, there's going to be skin laxity, there could be excess skin. So then we tighten, and that really gives us a surgical facelift. It's so versatile. We can do eyebrow lifts. We can get rid of fat bags underneath your eyes. Really, as I said, utilize it anywhere on the body. Yep. The downtime for this one is a little bit more than the Scarlett, because there's more swelling because it is a little bit more invasive. But again, it's not a facelift, and we're talking days rather than weeks necessarily. Okay.
Yeah, and for that one, we do use more of like a lidocaine injection for numbing as well. Oftentimes, the numbing gives you the most downtime, if you will, with like swelling and whatnot. But we want to keep you comfortable, through the procedure. But the Agnes machine actually uses radio frequency as well to essentially, if you're doing the fat, you can do the fat removal, but then you can also do the skin tacking. So we can actually like lift and tack your skin up, which is where you get that non-surgical facelift.
With no needles? You're actually able to do that?
It is a needle. So it is a needle, but that similar to, the microneedling, which is a needle. The microneedling is 25 microneedles. This is a single microneedle. So it's very precise. And so we use that radio frequency in a little more precise manner to basically tack the skin into that dermal layer, right? And to lift and tone the skin. So it's a very versatile instrument. Like Katie said, areas all over the body it can be utilized on, and we can really get a really nice sculpted look with it, which is unique if you're not doing surgery.
Yeah. Okay, and we've got time for one more. You have another feature?
The last one. There's only one more. There's only one more we haven't talked about.
Yeah. But we could go on forever and ever.
Yeah. Plasmage. So Plasmage is more of our epidermal skin tightening tool that uses plasma energy. So it actually utilizes the gases in the air. The actual tip of it's not even a needle, but the tip of the device doesn't even touch the skin. So it actually uses plasma to use the gases in the air to cause almost a stratus corneum coagulation, basically. So you think of like a shrink wrap, right? So it's like shrink wrap on the skin. You can actually see the skin tightening.
You can shrink wrap my face? This is crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it just face? Is it neck? Is it other places?
Skin tightening. So anywhere where you have fine lines and wrinkles, or skin laxity. So we think of what we use it for a lot is a blepharoplasty. So we can do a non-surgical blepharoplasty and actually tighten and firm the hooded eyelids. Similar with under eyes, we can do the same thing there by actually tightening and firming that skin. Another common.
Does it last, or does the shrink wrap melt?
No, it's a permanent. It's a permanent treatment, as long as, we always qualify that with saying like you're always going to continue to age, right? So but even a surgical blepharoplasty isn't forever, right? It's, if you continue to do the things to maintain the procedure that you've had done, yes, it's a permanent thing in there, but it does require that continuous enhancement. Everything does.
And the cool thing about the Plasmage too is, we're talking all about aesthetics and looks and things, but it actually can be used to treat skin lesions too. Skin tags, seborrheic keratosis, xanthelasmas, dermatofibromas. Sorry, that's a mouthful.
Which a lot of things those are all like such technical terms I don't know. Skin tags I've heard of.
Skin tags. Yeah, we'll keep it at that. But any type of lesion on the skin, whether it's your face, your body, We have a lot of women who come in and say, I've got this lesion. It's totally benign, doesn't look cancerous, but my bra is rubbing on it and it's really painful. Get rid of that without, cutting it out. And then you really have minimal to no scarring. So it's used for all sorts of things.
Yeah. Areas where you have a lot of muscle movement. So around your mouth, around your eyes. As we age, we tend to get some of those lines kind of etched into our skin, if you will. They're not those dynamic lines, but they become kind of static lines. They're just there all the time. That's what the plasmage can be helpful for. So, you think of people have like barcode lines or calm smoker lines or crow's feet or whatnot, and they just are all those little wrinkles are always there. We can actually smooth those out with the plasmage machine. So it's very, very cool technology.
Wow. Well, the first thing you might recommend, we talked about a whole lot of things, but if you're going to pick one, can I make you pick a favorite? Like the thing that you're like, you're going to do this. It's the most natural thing that you can do and make a big difference. What would that be for each of you?
If we're talking technology, I think I would say the Scarlett is the best place to start. You're going to get kind of that like holistic base ground level foundation, if you will.
You're going to see results.
And you're going to see results. Yeah, you're going to get benefits in that tone, texture, tightening, kind of on that global level for your whole face or body. And so that's really, I think, kind of the groundwork where we like to start with patients. And then again, I think also just if we're talking general health as well, exercise. Exercise, metabolic health, decreasing inflammation, all of those things, just your general health and well-being, it is obviously the most important thing and is going to pay dividends in the long term. So
yeah. And you too, Katie?
Well, I definitely love the Scarlett too. That's definitely my favorite machine, but I'm going to say skincare is super important too, specifically sunscreen. Really, there's been data out there saying that 60% of your results come from skincare alone. Also, it's been shown that teenagers who struggle with acne and have been put on different acne regimens from a young age actually have better skin quality as they age, just because they started earlier with things like retinols. Antioxidant serums are super important. I like to say, call it the key three. Every woman in their 30s should be on an antioxidant cream, usually vitamin C or serum, and they should be on a retinol, any type of retinol or a retinol derivative, and then sunscreen. We talked about sunlight being the number one ager after genetics, and really the best way to prevent that is daily use of that sunscreen.
Yeah. And I think the common theme with all of these is kind of, consistency, right? So it's not just like you come in and you get one treatment, but it's like, well, what are we doing before that? What are we doing after that? What does our lifestyle look like? What are we doing day in and day out? And really, if you're utilizing that, you're going to get the best results from each individual treatment.
Yeah. So it's not just a one fix, of those, they all work together, just like everything in life though, right? Like,
yes.
And that's the hardest part, right? Really like consistency and, doing it day in and day out. That's the hard part, And
it's not, especially for skincare and stuff, it's not something where you're going to see it immediately. These devices, you will see it immediately. That is for sure. Having the patience to get to where your goals are.
Yeah. It can take some time. It can be a process.
Yeah. Well, ladies, thank you so much for your time and educating us and getting us excited about other things we can do more naturally, just to feel better in our own skin and to feel pretty and young and all those things that we know society tells us we need, but it's true that it just makes us feel better. So thank you. Thank you for joining the Natalie Tisdall podcast. You can follow along on Instagram and at natalietisdall.com. Subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave a review so I can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next week.